Tony Cottee's life could have ended in a London hotel room in 2019. The former England striker was experiencing severe head pain, neck pain, and vomiting. But his old-school mentality almost killed him. He dismissed these warning signs as sunstroke from a golf day, telling himself he wasn't having a brain haemorrhage. This dangerous mindset, rooted in decades of professional conditioning, nearly cost him everything. Yet, this terrifying moment would become the catalyst for the most important transformation of his life. The irony is stark. The same tough-minded approach that made Cottee one of England's most consistent goal scorers had become his greatest enemy. His hard-headed mentality, forged through years of professional football where you put some Vaseline on it and carry on, was now blinding him to life-threatening symptoms. This wasn't just stubbornness, it was decades of conditioning that taught him to push through pain and dismiss weakness. In that hotel room, this philosophy nearly killed him. Cottee's journey to that moment began decades earlier in East London. At just 17, he scored on his debut for West Ham United against Tottenham on New Year's Day 1983. This wasn't a fluke. His natural goal-scoring ability was undeniable, a predatory instinct that would define his entire career. He quickly established himself as a first-team regular, scoring 15 league goals in his first full season and 17 the following year. By 20, he had netted 37 league goals and was already being hailed as one of England's most promising strikers. His breakthrough season came in 1985-86, when he scored 20 league goals alongside strike partner Frank McAvenny. Together, they formed the most prolific partnership in the league, helping West Ham achieve their highest ever league finish of third place. That same year, Cottee won the PFA Young Player of the Year award, cementing his status as a rising star. His consistency was remarkable. By the time he left West Ham for the first time in 1988, he had scored 92 league goals in 212 appearances for the club. But success came with an unexpected burden that would haunt him for years. In August 1988, Everton paid £2.2 million for Cottee's services, making him the most expensive footballer in Britain. To put this in context, Peter Beardsley had set the British record just a year earlier with his £1.9 million transfer to Liverpool. Cottee's record was part of a rapid escalation in player valuations during the late 1980s. Paul Gascoigne was transferred for the same £2.2 million fee from Newcastle to Tottenham, and Ian Rush's return to Liverpool from Juventus for £2.7 million weeks later saw the record change hands again. Cottee scored a hat-trick on his Everton debut against Newcastle, seemingly justifying every penny of the record fee. Yet, despite this perfect start, he struggled with something most players dream of. He didn't like being a record signing and wasn't comfortable with the label. This wasn't false modesty or media training. Cottee genuinely saw himself as a good goal scorer, not the best player worthy of such a price tag. He felt that distinction belonged to someone like Paul Gascoigne, whose transfer for the same fee occurred around the same time. This created a profound conflict between his public valuation and private self-worth. The pressure he experienced wasn't a failure of statistics, but a deeply personal psychological struggle with a public label that he felt misrepresented his identity as an athlete. While other players like Alan Shearer or Roy Keane might have loved being the top signing and embraced the feeling of being the top boy, Cottee's inherent aversion to the spotlight stood in stark contrast to the alpha male persona often associated with elite athletes. The 1980s offered little support for players struggling with such pressures. Cottee arrived at Everton as an East End Essex boy with virtually no help settling into a new city. The personal challenges of relocating, finding homes, and schools for family were not factored into the transfer process, which at the time was purely transactional. This lack of support systems compounded the psychological weight of his record fee, creating lasting lessons about player welfare that Cottee now draws upon when observing modern football. He has since drawn parallels between his own experience and that of Jack Grealish following his £100 million transfer to Manchester City. Cottee observes that Grealish's early struggles, and those of other modern players, often stem from a player's wife or family not settling into a new environment. As he puts it, he's pleased to say that there is a lot more help with the signing part these days, underscoring a significant and positive shift in the professional game, where the athlete's holistic well-being is now recognised as essential to their on-field performance. If you're finding this story compelling, please subscribe and let me know in the comments which which aspect of pressure in professional sports resonates most with you. Your engagement helps us share more stories like this. Despite the psychological burden, Cottee's career statistics tell a story of remarkable consistency. He scored 72 goals in 184 league games for Everton and notched the club's first 2 Premier League hat-tricks. His temperament and personality proved as important as his talent in handling the scrutiny that came with his status. Cottee's story serves as a compelling case study of a player whose personal psyche was fundamentally at odds with the demands of his professional status. Fast forward 31 years to 2019, and Cottee's old-school mentality was about to become his greatest enemy once again. After filming a Sky advert, he was staying in a London hotel when he experienced sudden severe pain in the middle of his forehead around midnight. The pain was quickly followed by neck pain and vomiting. In a poignant example of his hard-headed mentality, he applied the same tough-minded approach that had served him on the pitch, but was now dangerously inappropriate for his health crisis. He convinced himself the pain was food poisoning from a barbecue or sunstroke from earlier activities, consciously telling himself he wasn't having a brain haemorrhage. He was actively thinking of all these different reasons to avoid facing the reality of his symptoms. This response was a direct manifestation of the old-school mindset he had been raised with, a philosophy where you put some Vaseline on it and carry on rather than seek medical help. This deeply ingrained professional conditioning, a trait that had served him so well on the pitch, became a dangerous liability in a personal health crisis. Fortunately, Phil Thompson, his former Sky Sports colleague staying at the same hotel, sensed the gravity of the situation when Cottee called him for help. Thompson, understanding something was seriously wrong, raced to the front desk to call for medical assistance. This intervention likely saved Cottee's life. He was rushed to hospital, where a second brain scan confirmed a small bleed on the brain, a diagnosis that followed an initial suspicion of meningitis. Doctors told him he was very, very fortunate to survive. The emotional impact was immediate and profound. When Cottee returned to work after 6 weeks of recovery, his first action was to find Phil Thompson and give him the biggest cuddle. This uncharacteristic display of vulnerability and gratitude from someone brought up in an era of self-reliance and stoicism marked a fundamental shift in his worldview. The ordeal forced him beyond his lifelong pattern of self-sufficiency to embrace the life-saving power of human connection and interdependence. But the universe wasn't finished testing Cottee's new perspective. The tragic and unexpected death of his younger brother Paul from cardiac arrest at age 56 provided sobering confirmation of life's fragility. This loss emphasized even more what he had been thinking after his brain haemorrhage, creating a causal chain of profound personal change. The first event was a warning about his mortality. The second served as a confirmation of how precious and fleeting life really is. These twin wake-up calls completely transformed Cottee's approach to life. Where once he might have focused purely on achievement, toughness, and financial success, he now prioritizes living life to the fullest with his wife and children. His philosophy shifted dramatically to making the most of every moment, consciously questioning what's the point of dying with loads of money if you haven't truly lived and experienced joy with the people you love. This transformation extended far beyond personal change. Cottee channeled his experiences into meaningful advocacy work, becoming honorary patron of Challenging MND, a cause dedicated to supporting others facing life-altering health challenges. By sharing his personal stories of the psychological pressures of professional football and the stark reality of his health scare, he transformed his vulnerabilities into a powerful platform for empathy and advocacy. His lived experiences, the struggle to adjust to a new club, the dangers of a self-reliant mentality, and the life-altering impact of health trauma now serve as a public service connecting with people far beyond the world of football. His professional legacy remains genuinely impressive despite the internal struggles he faced. Scoring 306 goals in 714 appearances across multiple clubs, including West Ham, Everton, Leicester City, Birmingham City, Norwich City, and Millwall, Cottee was the leading leading scorer at his club in 14 of his 17 full professional seasons. This consistency, evidenced by his remarkable productivity over 2 decades, defines his career more than any single moment of brilliance. Rather than being remembered as a flamboyant superstar defined by a singular peak of greatness, his career represents enduring productivity and dependable professionalism. Following his retirement from playing, Cottee transitioned into a successful punditry career, spending 2 decades with Sky Sports and becoming a regular on the popular show Soccer Saturday. His time there ended in 2021 when Sky decided to move in a new direction, a departure he described as their choice more than his choice. However, this setback opened new opportunities for growth and service. Today, Cottee works as a popular and in-demand after-dinner speaker, using his extensive professional and personal experiences as his primary assets. His narrative has evolved from one of sporting prowess to one of personal growth and transformation through adversity. He now channels his experiences into stories that resonate with audiences far beyond football, demonstrating how a legacy built on goals and trophies has been reframed by the wisdom gained from overcoming professional and personal challenges. His story demonstrates that true transformation often comes through our darkest moments. The same tough mentality that nearly killed him in that hotel room had earlier caused him to struggle with the pressures of professional success and public expectations. But by learning to embrace vulnerability, seek help when needed, and prioritize meaningful connections over stoic independence, Cottee discovered something more valuable than any transfer fee or goal tally. He found a life lived with genuine purpose, deep relationships, and the courage to help others facing their own crises. His journey from a psychologically burdened record signing to a health crisis survivor to an advocate for others shows that our greatest struggles can become our most powerful tools for helping others and finding true meaning in life.